Hello there, everyone. How you doing today? I hope you're all well. Today we're going into r/Am I the A-hole, where Reddit is the arbiter of justice for people, whether or not they are the a-holes in a situation or whether they are actually in the right. If you enjoy, remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below on leaving your thoughts on these stories or on the fact that I am so comfy and cozy right now because it's raining outside and I have to be in a blanket. Now, let's get started. Am I the a-hole for not stopping my teenage son's girlfriend from kissing him? My son, who is 17, recently got into a car accident with a drunk driver. I am very thankful that he is alive, obviously, but his car is totaled. The drunk driver was driving a pickup, and my son drives a small old convertible, most likely the reason for the amount of damage, and he is fairly injured, as in multiple breaks, lots of stitches, and so on, and is currently recovering. This all occurred last week on Saturday, the night of the accident. My family, my wife, and my daughter got there, and I want to say an hour before his girlfriend. When she came in, she ran to him in his hospital bed and started hugging and kissing him, mainly on the lips, but in other places on the face too. She stayed for most of the night, checking up on him and being supportive. I was happy that my son and his girlfriend had such a good relationship. As we were driving home that night, my wife said she was upset I didn't say anything to my son's girlfriend. I asked why I would have to, as she was being a good partner. My wife said that it felt weird seeing that, especially in front of his family. I said that he was going off to college regardless and that she was being a really nice partner, and that night showed us how much she truly cared for him. She rushed off of work to get there and was still wearing her work clothes as she got there. My wife started getting angrier and said she thought it was gross and that I should just ask her to leave sometime. I told her that I am not telling my hospitalized son that I'm taking away something that clearly makes him happy. She told me it was gross and that I needed to put a stop to it. I told her she was worrying about the wrong thing and that anything she brought our son comfort was good. My brother had taken my daughter home before this so she didn't hear us arguing. She told me I needed to step up and do my job, and I've been thinking about it, and I have started to keep thinking about it and thinking that I'm in the wrong. Someone in the comments says you're not the asshole. Your wife needs to accept that your son is growing up. A 5-year-old says kissing is gross, but not a 45-year-old with multiple children. What kind of argument is that? Besides, kissing is not inappropriate at 17 years old, and she was relieved to see him after a scary accident. It's not like they spend their free time making out in front of you, am I right? Exactly. Your wife is being weird about it. The girlfriend was very happy your son was alive. And it's good that you realize that that's a good thing, OP. Am I the asshole for ordering alcohol? I'm currently on a solo trip to Tenerife, all inclusive to save having to look for places to eat by myself. The hotel has club style seating, meaning that all tables are tables of 8 and people get sat together. Apparently, it's to encourage a sense of community and conversation. Last night, I was seated first and had a glass of wine. A family of 5 got seated at my table, 2 adults and 3 children. The mother turned to me and said,
"We do not wish to expose our children to women drinking alcohol."
I smiled and said, perhaps they should ask to move tables. If it was an issue, I would be drinking the wine. They noticed I was on my own and made passive-aggressive comments about this. I went up to get food, and on the return my wine had disappeared. A waiter came over and asked to see my wristband for the all-inclusive, and said the family had told them I was underage and must have sneaked away from my parents. He was very apologetic and returned with a fresh glass of wine, just as the family came back with their food. Am I the asshole for then requesting the waiter bring me the full bottle along with a couple shots of vodka? The family stormed out of the restaurant when I drank the shots as they arrived at the table. Well, let me just put it this way. The mothers turned to me and said, "We do not wish to expose our children to women drinking alcohol." Then don't take your kids to places where alcohol is served. It's almost as if it's common sense not being common anymore. And something odd I've noticed in this thing, It's just women drinking alcohol. What the heck is that about? It's clearly not an issue with alcohol as much as it is with women. Sheesh! Am I the a-hole? My husband will invite his family and friends over without telling me until that day. He then expects me to clean, run to the store, and prep and cook everything. I finally just decided to leave the house. The last time he told me because I only had 4 hours until their arrival. He canceled. The thing is, his family is constantly judging and talking about each other. So when he says it doesn't matter, they don't care, I know, and he knows, that he is full of it. Also, it's not just tidying the house. We are not regularly stocked in food or drinks to have people over. When I got home, I asked what he's planning on having for dinner. And he responded, I don't know. I guess it's good they aren't coming over anymore. Now he is sulking, saying I am the problem because I can't just go with the flow. I have told him multiple times I just need a couple days of notice to get things in order. But he insists that I'm just being difficult, uptight, and uncooperative. Someone in the comments says, not the a-hole. The fact that he canceled it instead of doing the prep work and hosting on his own proves that he knows how much work is involved in going with the flow. If he doesn't want to do it, why should you? I pray this marriage does not find me. I know I don't want to get married, period, the narrator says, but if I ever do get married, I would not be able to deal with something like this. I swear to all that is holy. Am I the a-hole for enforcing basic boundaries on my daughter's sleepover? I have 2 kids living with me. My daughter Anya and my stepson Noah. Noah's mom passed a few years ago and I've had full custody ever since. He's had a rough go of it, but he's a good kid with his quirks. He's not antisocial or shy, but he does not appreciate having his space invaded. And when he is very upset, he can kinda shut down. Anya is much more outgoing and has a lot of friends. She asked to have a sleepover this weekend with 4 of them. I said yes, of course. But given that the friends who were coming were pretty loud and have a tendency to crowd Noah, I told her to make sure they don't go into her brother's room, also to keep things down after 11 so the house can sleep. In my opinion, these are not strict rules. Lo and behold, to my surprise, I came upstairs to check on them at about 10. They're 17. I didn't think I needed to check on them every hour or something, and they were in Noah's room and they looked like they'd been there a while. 2 were literally sitting on his bed with him there. One of them was flipping through a sketchbook and another was messing with his other stuff, and they were all kind of giggling in this weird way. Noah was clearly upset. He didn't say anything or move, but there were tears in his eyes, and he didn't respond when I tried to talk to him. I told the girls to get out right then and that I was calling every single one of their parents. Anya was pretty upset with me, but I told her that I gave them only 2 rules and they failed spectacularly. I did not actually call all of their parents, and I did actually call all of their parents, and I sent them home as soon as possible. Anya blew up saying I embarrassed her, and I told her to go to her room and that we would speak in the morning. I spent about 20 minutes with Noah before he decided he wanted to cool down on his own, and I went back to my daughter who chose not to speak to me. It is late, both of my kids are hopefully asleep, and I am left not knowing if I handled things right. Am I the a-hole? Someone in the comments says, you handled things perfectly okay. You set very reasonable rules and your daughter decided to not care and upset Noah. I would ground her. She doesn't care to have embarrassed Noah, but she sure cares that she couldn't get her way. What was she expecting after she broke the rules? And also, the precedent to be set if there are no consequences, not only for breaking the rules, but for continuing to violate someone's boundaries while they are visibly uncomfortable, she will encounter all sorts of people with different issues and trauma, and she needs to recognize when she is crossing a line. Am I the a-hole for not making my daughter-in-law coffee and telling her I am not a barista? My son and daughter-in-law, are staying in our home probably for the next month due to water damage in their home. The company is fixing the damage, but the flooring was damaged, so it's not very livable right now. They have only been here less than a week and I am having an issue. I work nights and I come back home around 6:30 a.m. and then go to bed. My husband is usually up, so I make him a coffee and breakfast before I turn in. Just something I like to do. More quality time before he heads to work. I asked my son and Emily if they would also like coffee or breakfast before they go to work. They said no to food, but yes to coffee. That was easy enough, and I just made 2 extra cups. I asked them to tell me if they want me to change how to make their coffee. I thought they would just tell me to use the creamer or if they had a preference in blend. Emily texted me last night and said she left instructions for the coffee. This morning I came home to very detailed instructions on how to make a complex coffee. It was like a Starbucks drink. She wanted foamed milk on top, different syrups, and a specific coffee bean, which was ground fresh, and a different brewing method. We have a drip coffee machine. Most of the stuff was just over the counter. I decided I was not doing all that and just made the normal coffee. Emily wasn't happy and we got into an argument before she went to work. I basically told her I'm not a Starbucks barista and I'm not doing all that. She told me I shouldn't have offered in the first place if I wouldn't make the coffee to her liking. We left on a sour note. I've been getting texts from my son about not being hospitable, so I'm having trouble sleeping at the moment. Should I have just made the coffee? Someone in the comments says, if your son's doubling down like that, it sounds like it's time for he and his entitled wife to seek new accommodations. Yeah, they can have fun dealing with their insurance and get put in a hotel room. If OP wants to go this route, of course. From my experience, it sucks so much. So OP, you are really doing them a favor. Okay, narrator story time. One time, in my apartment, we got flooded royally, and the insurance didn't pay for acts of God for us to get into a hotel, so we had to pay for it. And even though the insurance wasn't covering it, living in a hotel for like the weeks it took for them to fix the apartment was absolute hell. I am not gonna lie. I was anxious as all fuck. And not to mention, my grandmother joked about the water not getting into my room, but getting into literally every other room. And she jokes about, oh no, the water was scared of the mess in my room. And that's something I am kind of bitter about, but I've been getting better about. Anyway, that is the last story of today. I hope you all enjoyed. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment down below. And I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.